Thank you all for your time and attention this afternoon. It's a gift to me, that I can give a gift to you, a gift of knowledge, a gift of application, of dealing within conflict and making it a method in which we can renew and change our life. We all have conflict. We know this, right? Right now, times are very stressful. You don't need me to tell you that. And many of these conflicts are creating reactions from us that are not the most favorable, that are not the most productive and helpful. We want to take conflict and leverage it into growth, into becoming stronger in relationships and stronger leaders. So how you handle conflict is going to change your life. I don't have to tell you how much stress there is going on in the world right now. You know it all too well. So let's talk about it. How do we get past those unhealthy reactions that we may have been using? I want to help you survive the next few months, but I'm a little greedy. I want more than that for you. I want you to prosper, to grow. I want to empower you to be a leader of others, a leader that can help relationships, that can be authentic, a true connection to other individuals. So the title of this talk is Leveraging Conflict to Renew Your Life. You may ask, what in the world does that mean? It means, in a nutshell, that when you see conflict, if you can look at it with curiosity instead of judgment, then you can leverage it and you can change your life to find opportunity and gifts that are there. Yes, gifts. Gifts in every conflict and in every loss. Now you may say, my conflict with this arrogant coworker does not stir curiosity, it stirs my frustration. You may say, my teenager who is repeatedly disrespectful does not make me inquisitive. They make me irritated. I get that. And when you have a conflict at work, you're not looking at it and saying, where's the gift here? No, you're looking at it with frustration and anger and ready to fly off the handle. Or sometimes you're bent over in pain and tears. But the truth is, in all of this messiness, there's a gift to be uncovered, a truth, some growth, and clearer communication. I love the story of the man who had two sons. One son was very pessimistic. Everything he saw in life, he saw as negative, as trouble, as hostility. But then he had another son. The other son was all too positive. He saw the good in everything. So this father decided he needed to balance his sons out. So for the one son who was a pessimist, he filled his bedroom with toys, new, the latest, the greatest of toys. When his son came in, the pessimist, he looked around and began to cry. And the father said, "What are you crying about?" And the boy said, "I just know that these toys are going to break someday." Then the father took his other son, the one who was also positive, and he filled his bedroom with manure, all the way up to waist high of manure. So as they were opening that door, the young boy, the optimist, looked around. With a great look of surprise in his eyes, he ran out to the garage and grabbed a shovel and came running back in and started shoveling through the manure. And the father said, "What are you doing?" And the son said, with all this crap in here, there's gotta be a pony somewhere. Why do I love that story? Because only someone who was optimistic could find a good side of a room full of manure. So we have our own filters and we all have our own conflicts. So what about you? Have you been able to find good within conflicts? Have they been a good teacher for you? Did you learn some things through conflict that you would have learned no other way? I have. My conflicts and failures have guided me as much as my successes, perhaps more. Conflicts of my life have led me to stronger relationships, better careers, and greater locations. Now, I'm not minimizing the pain and difficulty of conflict. I work with people every day who are in pain, being a divorce coach, a domestic mediator, and a corporate trainer. And my role is literally to dig through the crap, to find hope and help, and find the gift beyond this very ugly wrapping paper. The Bishop T.D. Jakes said, pain always leaves a gift. So leveraging conflict to renew your life means changing how you see conflict with curiosity instead of judgment. To find what opportunity and gifts are there in every conflict and in every loss. Conflict is opportunity so cleverly disguised. It's a way of finding the authentic and powerful life that you want to live. And conflict isn't playing. It's very serious. It's COVID serious. Because it really does stretch you in different ways to look at conflict in new perspectives. So, okay, enough philosophy or thought about conflict, let's get real. I want you to take a conflict that you've had in the past or one that you're currently in, and I want you to write it down or simply keep it in your mind. This could be a one-time thing or a long-standing conflict. Conflict in an office, conflict at home, could be as simple as a disagreement or as profound as a divorce or a job loss. So I'm going to give you 4 points, and I'm going to spend about 4 minutes in each. And I want you to apply these points to your conflicts. My point number 1 is give yourself time. Haste makes waste in relationships. Anger shuts down the brain, literally. We need to step back and give it perspective. Have you given yourself time to think about this situation? And you may say, are you kidding me? I've been obsessed with it. Then, have you asked yourself the right questions? Give yourself time to be honest, to think about it, to mull it over, even to grieve it. And this may be done in a few moments or a few months. If we react quickly, then we have more to regret. There's a proverb that says, he who is impulsive is foolish. If you've already responded to this situation, is it possible that you go back and say, I want to give this more time and thought. Let's meet up and discuss this later this week. We need time because we don't want to be reflexive to the situation. We don't come into conflict alone. We come into our conflict bringing our parents with us. So if your father was a redneck and your mother never stood up for herself, you're bringing them into the conflict in that natural reflex of reaction. Because we bring into conflict our values, our past hurts, our heritage, our biases, our preconceived notions, our expectations and assumptions. But if we are to be good leaders and good in relationships, if we step back and ask ourselves some questions, we may find some truths. Like, how am I seeing this situation? And this is a good practice to write it out, to really look at it, to think of the words that best describe it. And here's one: do I need to guard my heart? Is this a safe situation? Many times in domestic mediation, we have to make sure we do a domestic screening, that there is this balance of power between the two parties, that they can stand up for themselves. So I would ask you, in your situation, do I need to guard my heart? Is this a safe situation? And ask the question, am I assuming something here? Am I denying something here? Am I projecting my will or bias on someone else? Is this a power struggle? If we want authenticity, it requires honesty. And then we have to ask the question, have I identified the real issue here? I may be arguing about one thing, but really, there's something else going on. Conflict can get very cloudy, in fact, murky, because the real issue can be hidden underneath and not able to be articulated, to be brought out. Sometimes it's murky because of past routines and problems or reactions, because we've been here before and we know this dance. We know the steps to this cha-cha, and we see this same argument go round and round and round. The question is, how can I handle this differently? Now, looking at the conflict that you wrote down, did you or have you given yourself time to understand where you are in this situation, to journal, to reflect? And what's the gift here? The gift here is you're honoring yourself, perhaps protecting yourself, giving a cushion, a buffer to the situation, not making hasty decisions, and not being impulsive. So point number 2 is be curious instead of defensive. And this takes a mental discipline. You want to ask those questions inquiring minds want to know. As Stephen Covey said, seek first to understand. Reframe the question, stating it in a different way, mirroring, saying back the same statement to the person. What might be their motivation? What else is happening in the person's life? In one of my support groups, there was a business owner going through a very traumatic divorce for him. In fact, he went through my group 3 times because it was so devastating to him. But he was brave enough to stand before his employees. He had 8 employees, and he said, I just want you to know that I'm having a really difficult time right now, and I'm going through a divorce, and I'm not going to be myself for a while. Your patience is appreciated. So there are things going on within people's lives that we are not aware of. So we do want to be, as Michelle was stating, being empathetic. And maybe your teenager is acting out because he's facing some unknown stresses and dealing with something that he can't talk about. Or maybe he's just testing the boundaries, as teenagers do. So ask questions for clarification. Is there something I'm not seeing here? Help me to understand. One of the things that we learned in training and restorative practices is to ask the question, what happened? That allows people to drop their defenses and to explain their side of the story. It is much more effective than asking why. Another question that's really helpful is how? How will we accomplish this? How will we do this? How will this work? Again, using the question why causes us to be defensive. So stay positive in your curiosity as you're asking these questions. Chris Voss, an FBI terrorist negotiator, stated in a recent interview, and the author of Never Split the Difference, excellent book, you can't lose your cool very easily when you are curious. And he also states that when we are asking questions, the brain science proves your brain is smarter and has more capacity when it's positive. And we need all our capacity. So take the time to ask questions, and it does take time. I wish it was a fast process, but if you want it to be an authentic relationship and really build that bridge instead of that chasm, it is going to take some time to think, to talk. If you're someone who wants to be ever so efficient and dismiss issues as a leader, it's poor leadership. You want to be efficient? Then you have authentic relationships with your people that you work with and the people that are within your home. Curiosity makes a good leader. I remember the people in my past who were my managers, leaders, mentors, who took personal interest in what I was going through. And I will never forget them. And you can probably think of some as well. So looking at your situation, what questions could you have asked with more clarity, respect to others? And the gift here, as I'm watching my time and it's running way too quickly, is that you become a caring leader and someone who stands out. So already we have talked about point number 1 is taking the time to step back, to reflect, to analyze and understand the situation. Number 2 is to be curious. To be curious. So before I move forward to the next 2 points, I want to share with you a little bit about what I do. I am a divorce coach, so I walk alongside of people, getting them through on the other side of divorce. And being a domestic mediator, we also get into those deeper issues, the how-tos. I also do corporate training on conflict and helping in communication. And I also do some moderating of government matters meetings. But if you're interested and I can be of help, please connect with me if I can be of help to you. So let's move on to point number 3. Consult with someone. There is a proverb that states, fails planned for lack of counsel, but with many advisors, they succeed. Are you getting advice about this conflict from others? Sometimes we don't do that very well, but we need to, because those wise conversations that you are going to have, they will grow you as a leader, not for gossip, but for growth. Connect with those wise counsel. I have individuals in my life who I throw ideas, I bounce ideas off of, and they give me their insight in ways that I would have never thought. We need each other. We need great leaders, have coaches and trustworthy people in their lives. No one is smart on their own. They need the wisdom of others. So, search for the truth. Get the truth. Connect with them, call them, set up a time to have a conversation with them. So looking at your conflict, who have you been consulting with to get the information that you need? You are going to benefit greatly from this. Point number 4, and this is actually a 3-hour program, so to put it in 20 minutes was a stretch, but I see now that I can't even put it into 20 minutes. So point number 4, you're going to have to take action. You're going to have to begin resolving this conflict. First of all, I want to know, am I safe? The question is, am I safe here? If you are not safe physically or emotionally, you need to perhaps bring someone with you. A person, not necessarily a mediator, but a person who would stand for you. And I hope, quite honestly, that you will consider mediation for your conflict. There's something about that dynamic of the third party stepping in there that's really, really helpful. So you're going to validate and affirm that person as you speak with them. You're going to honor that person. You're not going to tear them down. You're not going to railroad them. You're going to honor them, giving them space to be a person with their own thoughts and their own opinions. Don't make assumptions. Open the conversation. So have boundaries, know what you can and cannot control, ask questions, how can I support you? Have deadlines, have consequences if they don't work. So I have went way, way too quickly, and yet my time is over. But I do want to encourage you to look at conflict as an opportunity to take a real deep dive in an authentic relationship. To create a cohesive team requires a vulnerability, requires dealing honestly with conflict. So I hope that that has been of help. I'll read this one last thing, and then before Ryan pulls me off the stage, I will just leave this with you. That there within that very ugly packaging of conflict holds a gift that if opened carefully will change your life. But it is so often left unwrapped. Instead, we force our will, and in the end, we destroy each other, never seeing that gift we were searching for all along, the gift of being heard, of deeper relationships, and peaceful workplaces. My name is Kathy Beatty. Connect with me on my website. Let me know how I can be of service to you.